Please listen carefully.
Hello, universe. Welcome to the Optimist Daily Update. I'm Summers McKay.
And I'm Kristy Jansen, and we're part of the team behind the Optimist Daily, making solutions the news. We bring you reader-funded solutions news every day in order to change the tenor of news media, social media, and the direction of your day to one focused on solutions.
7 days a week, we publish positive news stories written by award-winning journalists and delivered online to your inbox and through our social channels. And also, we are sharing these solutions in a commute-worthy, walk-worthy, home office-worthy, happy St. Patrick's Day-worthy podcast. Today is Wednesday, the 17th of March, 2021. Kristy, are you wearing green today?
Maybe. Are you having Lucky Charms?
No, I am not having Lucky Charms, but I did, of all the things that I've packed, I kept like one green shirt out so that today I could, in fact, be wearing green and having a little luck of the Irish, but not Lucky Charms. It's hump day, everybody. It's hump day. It's also my last day of recording before my family and I go on our journey. These next few days, you're going to get little tidbits of Optimist Daily update that we admittedly pre-recorded.
Yes, they're all about solutions that are focused on Austin. So it's a little send-off for you, Summers, that we did these over the, I think we recorded them a couple weeks ago. But
yeah, we recorded several weeks ago when I originally was going to leave. So we haven't re-listened
from our archives.
Yeah. If they reference dates in the past or seem somewhat disjointed or talk about things that were going to happen that never happened, please forgive us, but we just, they're going to just
evergreen.
Yeah. They're just like this little evergreen snapshot. Look at you with the green theme. Okay, so Optimist Daily today.
Do we have clover lawns in there? I wonder. We should talk about it.
Oh, we need to make sure that Kaylee posts about clover lawns today.
Absolutely.
That needs to be, I am going to Skype her right now with that recommendation. So, yes. Optimist Daily today has some pretty fun stories. And first things first, let's talk about how we met our husbands. This is inspired by a headline that reads, Tinder is adding background check features for their matches. So yes, I met my husband on Tinder. And long ago, when I met my husband, which was now almost nearly 10 years ago, or I guess 8 years ago, my college students, because I was teaching at UCLA at the time, and I were having a conversation about online dating and the sort of ubiquity of the tools. And they asked which ones I was on. And at that time, I was on, I guess, originally Match.com. And then there was one at the time called OkCupid, which I don't even know if it still exists. But my students decided that they wanted to set me up with a Tinder profile. And they did. And at that time, for college kids, Tinder had like a very different feel than people of my age who were on Tinder.
You go hook up, right? It wasn't about finding a love match. It was about finding a date for the night.
Exactly. It was like the original quote unquote Netflix and chill. And for me, I was not in the market for some Netflix and chillin'. I was actually looking for a relationship. So at the time, Tinder also, the way that it would sort of reference you is it would tell you which Facebook friends you had in common. And my students actually were swiping right and left on people that they thought I should consider. And they swiped affirmatively on my now husband. And it turned out we shared two people in common. One was a relatively well-known reality television star, because I used to produce reality TV, and the other was a business school professor. And it was just this interesting dichotomy of two very different people. How would we both know these people in common? Tinder also had like a radius. So mine was set to like a 3-mile radius because I pretty much didn't want to have to like go out of the area to date someone. I lived in a very dense area in Los Angeles. Didn't seem like I would have to. Well, it turned out that my now husband also, who lived 50 miles away, happened to be driving by UCLA at almost precisely that moment. So this cosmic flux of things. And then my husband thought my Tinder profile must be fake because here I was, this person who earnestly was talking about wanting a relationship, and he was on Tinder for the Netflix and chill version of Tinder. So anyway, it was just very, very funny how he and I met on Tinder.
Well, and the rest is history, as
and
they
the rest
say.
is history.
But what is the article about? So what's the deal?
Well, no, I mean, Kristy, how did you meet your husband?
Oh, well, we met actually at our martial arts class. We both were practicing Hapkido, which is a Korean martial art. And we both met, and we were in the early stages of our journey towards black belts when we first encountered each other. And it was one of those moments where you have no idea what a simple conversation might lead to. That'll be 10 years ago this October.
So this is like Cobra Kai real love story.
I guess so, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, if we're the middle-aged Cobra Kai students.
Middle-aged. I love it. You're like middle-aged Cobra Kai. I'm middle-aged Tinder. Anyway, anyone who has dated as a human being knows that dating is pretty terrifying, right? And then certainly online dating has a lot of risk associated, right? Because you don't know anything about these people. You don't know who you know in common. And the absence of information can be really, really scary. One of the things that Tinder is doing, and the headline reads, Tinder is adding a background check feature for their matches. And I love that Tinder is doing this because not that I would have been better off had I backgrounded my husband, but it would have been interesting information to know. And Match Group, which is the parent company of various online dating applications, including Match and Tinder, in partnership with the nonprofit Garbo, has decided to roll out a feature that helps their users run background checks on matches. The company Garbo's founder, Catherine Cosmides, is a survivor of gender-based violence, and her mission is to help ensure that vulnerable populations, including women, people of color, and LGBTQ individuals, are protected from any kind of violence. Garbo works with various experts on deciding what kinds of records to provide. It excludes criminal records that don't have a correlation with violence, like traffic violations or drug possessions, but it focuses on information that would give you an insight into whether or not this match is somebody that is of risk for violence. Now, Match is rolling it out first on Tinder, but it turns out that Match also owns OkCupid, Hinge, and Plenty of Fish. So pretty much what we're saying is Match was going to find me my husband no matter what the marketing platform was. But basically, users can expect to see Garbo on Tinder at some point in 2021. And then Tinder is also rolling out a number of increased safety tips and communication tools for people who are using their online dating to ensure safety. You know, there's a lot of online dating apps, and I remember when I was back in business school, I actually wrote an economic paper on the future of online dating and the economic viability of it, and our econ professor at the time kind of laughed, and he's like, nobody's going to do that.
Oh, really?
Well,
oh, that's funny, because that's the only way we meet. And in fact, now I think with the current environment, like people are meeting there and just not even taking it into real life.
Exactly. They're just like, they're just living pandemic
I have a number
love.
of friends. It's very frustrating, but I'm curious to see what happens in a post-pandemic world in the dating scene.
I know.
Pent-up desire, which gets let out into the world, or if there's some more resistance that's been built in with the social anxiety that comes from being separated physically.
Yeah, it's basically what we were talking about yesterday with the article on how to handle post-pandemic stress, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. So it'll be interesting to see what develops there. But
well, if you are out on the dating market, give us a shout at editorial@optimistdaily.com and let us know what your post-pandemic dating plans include. And if you are not in the dating market and instead want to look at the stars, you can enjoy our next article.
My article is really more, it still has some idealism in it, definitely. Less safety checks, probably, but it's about going to the stars. The headline reads that NASA is using Navajo language to name rocks and soil on Mars. And I just like the idea of exploring the red planet and getting out there in the stars. I know we have to fix Earth, and I know there's lots of kind of snarky criticism of these techno lords, you know, the Bezos and the Musks who want to dominate in space as well as on Earth. And there is no planet B, right? But there is something about that exploring spirit and getting out there and becoming an interstellar species, which still, it sparks my imagination in a positive way. Absolutely. And so this story is one that I like. And just last month, NASA's Perseverance rover has landed on Mars, and it's exploring the ground. I reposted something on my Twitter the other day because they've named a valley for Octavia E. Butler, who is one of my favorite authors. And she had this whole idea of needing to have something aspirational in order for us to make ourselves better as a species. We have to have something to reach for. And reaching for the stars is something which I think it does keep our heads out of the gutter in some level, you know?
Yeah.
But what they're doing now, and NASA's doing something, giving us something to aspire to, giving us some inspiration. It's teaching us science, and The Martian was fun in that way. But now in exploring the ground, they're using Navajo language to help name some of the physical features. And this is, I think, an acknowledgement of the indigenous wisdom and the Native American history and heritage for the United States. So I think this is nice.
Yeah, you've talked before about marrying that indigenous wisdom and contemporary tools into kind of a better sphere for the future.
Right.
And you really, when you articulated it, it really inspires all of us, I think, because it's essential that we do not forget our past and that we do not, disregard the knowledge that has come as we've evolved.
Mm-hmm. And so this is a way of honoring the Navajo Nation, and this is done in collaboration with the nation. Navajo is the most spoken Native American language in the United States, and so the Navajo Nation President, Jonathan Nez, and Vice President Myron Leiser, they have compiled a list of 50 words in the Navajo language to use to name scientifically valuable rocks and soil on the planet. And these words include things like strength, which is bidzil, and respect, which is a whole new, I don't know how to pronounce this. The name Perseverance itself has been translated in Navajo as well. I don't want to mess it up, but I think it's important to acknowledge the Native Americans in this nation's history, and it's been a really fraught relationship between European settlers and the first Americans. Deb Hovland was confirmed, I think, today or yesterday as the first Native American member of the cabinet, and I think that's a tremendous marker of progress, and I want to acknowledge that. Anyway, I think this is a nice story, and that's why I wanted to point out, because it marries indigenous wisdom and First Nation status, and also Mars. Space exploration.
It's kind of all that. It's like your anthropological space.
Exactly.
All into one story. It's the perfect story for Kristy. Exactly. So we've got other great headlines today that include Athens tackling urban air pollution and heat stress with pocket parks. City Loops is a grand experiment on the scalability of circularity. Cultivate a more sustainable closet with these green fashion tips. Look, they said green. Happy St. Patrick's Day. What else?
There's a credit card incentivizing consumers to support women-owned businesses. Scientists are making exoskeletons more user-friendly with cameras and AI. An impromptu Yo-Yo Ma performance is lifting spirits at a vaccination site. That and more on today's Optimist Daily, so go check it out. And that's it for our podcast.
That's it for our podcast.
Want to take us out, Summers?
Yeah, I will take us out. Hey, everybody, thank you for listening to the Optimist Daily Update. We promise to continue to share positive solution-based stories with ideas on how you can participate in this changing world and ensure it is changed for the good. We promise to cover the current events with accuracy, legitimate sources, and offer you the information needed most to chart new paths for all of us. And thanks everybody for hanging out with us for the next few days while you get to listen to pre-records and I get to drive across the country with a toddler and 2 cats. In the interim, please consider becoming an emissary on optimistdaily.com. $5 a month, support reader-funded independent journalism. I promise I'll Instagram some funny stories. I know social media on Optimist Daily will continue to be extraordinary. And I will see you guys next week. I think Kristy and Amelia may take the lead for a couple days if I don't get my internet in Texas. But otherwise, we'll see you guys next week.
Have a great weekend, and talk to you later. Bye.